What's up, YouTube? It's Tom Driver, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a video of the very first iteration of my fitness app that I have ever made. Before I get started, I just want to say I got a pretty cool announcement. I'm going to be starting a Drive Fitness podcast to help kind of get my ideas out there, learn some new stuff, and to promote the app. Now, if you guys start following the podcast, I'm going to be releasing it on the usual podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. However, there's certain videos like this one right here where it's pretty necessary to have the video component. And in that case, these type of videos are not going to obviously air as podcast episodes. So I just want to say, if you do start following us, just, on the audio podcast, that's amazing. But if you want to keep, completely up to date, check out the YouTube channel for videos like this where I'm going to be running through some of the early iterations. So this first iteration I made after about 2 classes at JMU of Python. And so I spent, summer 16 creating about, I think, 3 different iterations of Drive. And yeah, this is the first one. It's just a Python script. Here we go. Okay, so the big 3, it just runs in a normal terminal window, and it's going to prompt you with this loading page when you first run it. Something interesting I thought was kind of funny is I made this about 4 years ago, and it seems back then I thought the name of my company was going to be Drive Innovated Motivation. I guess I thought it was clever to spell Drive with a 3. But once you run the script, it's going to prompt you with 6 options. The first 3 are going to be your chest press, deadlift, and squat. So to choose one of these exercises, you just enter in the number that correlates. It's going to prompt you with the options to either add a set, view history, view stats, or go back. So if we add a new chest press set, it's going to ask us how much weight do we lift. Now, I'm going to go a little bit below what I would usually do. Let's say I did 105 by 5. Now, no matter what, it's going to multiply the amount of weight you did by the amount of reps you completed to give you a baseline experience points for this set. And then it's just going to show you how many, total chest press points you've gotten. Now I'm going to add another set. This time I'm going to go over what I usually lift. Let's say for some reason I did 255 by 5. It's going to give me the usual baseline experience points, which is just weight times rep. And then if your lift is above average and it's keeping a track of kind of the average amount of weight you lift in the background, it's going to give you a certain amount of points based on how high above your average you're lifting. And then if you set a new record for that rep count, so if this is the most I've ever done for 5 reps, it's going to go ahead and give you an extra 10,000 experience points. My thought behind this was that you should get a baseline amount of points, for how much weight and reps you're doing, but then you should get most of your points based on kind of your own improvements. So hypothetically, you should be able to compete, with another person. And as long as you're constantly setting, new personal records and increasing, your average, you should be getting more points than that person. It doesn't matter how much weight or reps the two of you are lifting. So I've already added in a couple other sets here. So if we choose the option 2, it's going to show us a history. It's just going to include the date, the weight and reps and how many points. And then if it's a personal record, it's also going to include that. You can view your chest press stats. It's just going to show you your total XP and then what your 1, 3, and 5 rep max are for chest press. So we're going to go back to the main menu. Now, squat and deadlift are going to work exactly the same way. If we go into our stats, though, and we choose view stats, it is going to show us our general like name, our weight, and then I set like 10 levels, I'm pretty sure. So we are on level 5, and it's going to show you kind of how many experience points you've gotten from this level compared to how many you need to get. And then it's also going to show us our, 1 rep max total across those 3 exercises. And so in this case, we're at 630, and I purposely have not added anything for squat. So if we go back and we now go into squat, we add a squat set, and let's say we do 315 for 1 rep. We go back, take a look at our overall stats. Now I have at least one record for each of these 3 exercises, and see it's going to calculate my total 1 rep max, which is 945 right now. So I got 55 pounds to go, to reach my goal of 1,000. You can also edit your info. So you can change your name, change your weight, and you can even change your target goal. So I built this in a way where hopefully if someone has a different goal than me, they can change it. So say someone is actually much stronger than I am, and 1,000 pounds is just easy for them. They should be able to change their target goal to 1,200 pounds. Now when they view their stats, right, it's going to show them based off their goal. And that's honestly about it with this iteration of Drive. It was the very first one. I built it, basically for myself to start tracking these 3 exercises closely. And I ended up, achieving the 1,000-pound club. I was using a later iteration of this with, much better UI. Let's see. I think there's one more thing here. Just game details. I basically just included a little blurb about, why tracking your exercise is important to achieving your goals. And, basically explaining how hopefully like a beginner and someone who's experienced can basically play this game and compete with each other, because it's mostly rewarding you based off of your improvements, your records, and, if you're lifting higher than your average. So yeah, that's how it looks when you run the script. And I actually, could send this script out to anyone who wanted to use it. I'm not going to go too far into the code, but just so you guys can see, this here is the source code. It's basically, just one long Python script. And I literally had only 2 classes under my belt. And I just kind of, went away. And obviously this is probably terrible code. I probably could have condensed this all into something much shorter. But I mean, I just kind of, with my little knowledge, just started, hacking away and just did what I had to do to get something to work for me. So one other question you might be having is where's all this information stored? It's pretty simple. It's just essentially it creates a bunch of different little text documents with each of these numbers in it. And if you open one up, each of these documents literally just has one number in it. So that's super tiny, but it just stores one value. And then as you enter in, new records or, change your name or something, it'll just overwrite these documents right here. So yeah, that's the big 3. That's the first thing I've ever done for Drive. I did it about 4 years ago. And it was a great experience. If I have any takeaways and recommendations, things I learned from this, it would be that it's way easier to learn something if you're building something that you're interested in, right? I could have gone online and I could have taken a bunch of Python courses and just gone through all the tutorials, but instead I started building this thing I could use, right? It doesn't have a cool interface or anything, but I was excited to actually be able to use this application. And with the little bit of knowledge of Python I knew, I kind of hacked this together and I ended up learning a lot. Like I didn't know how to store those files. There's a lot of things that I didn't know going into this, and I'm glad I learned it building something I could get something out of at the end of the day instead of just going through a tutorial. So yeah, this is the first thing I ever made. I'm gonna release kind of a series of videos, basically going through each iteration. Um, some of them I don't still have the source code. Hopefully I can find them. But yeah, hopefully this series will kind of lead up into the point where my co-founder Matthew Jamazzo started helping me out, and then I think he's going to start joining the videos as well as the podcast. So yeah, keep tuned for future videos and stay tuned for the podcast. I'm pretty excited about it. Thanks guys for your time. I appreciate it.